Eric, thanks for your patience. You're a member of the private bar. You're a specialist in criminal defense law. Why are you on this panel? Why do you care about this issue?
I care about the issue, first of all, because any lawyer has a responsibility to the public, and this is an issue that matters to the public. It's an issue that matters to the functioning of the system. So when we have folks that don't meet the eligibility guidelines for the State Public Defender's Office, sometimes the county picks that up, and that's called a dean appointment. That means that this is a lawyer is appointed through county expense. Frankly, for the attorneys of the private bar, they make more with those appointments than they would through a public defender's office appointment. And it goes on our property tax bills. And it's not something that's distributed equally across the state. So those counties that end up appointing more lawyers through the dean appointment, these are folks that can't afford a private lawyer, have made efforts to obtain a private lawyer, but also can't obtain a lawyer through the state public defender system because they make too much. These folks are in the middle, and what we have is 72 counties, judges in each county making determinations. And these are judges that run for office and judges that are answering to the public. So if they're spending too much of that county's money appointing lawyers, that judge might not get elected the next time. And that's not how a determination as to whether an individual gets a lawyer should be made. If it's made statewide, we don't have individual determinations county by county where an individual in one county might get a lawyer appointed, an individual facing similar charges in another might not. That's not the type of constitutional guarantee that's envisioned. And for anybody in the system, whether it's a prosecutor, private defense lawyer, a judge, a police officer, a victim of crime, these folks place tremendous value on the system being efficient. So take aside the individual that's accused. Prosecutors spend a great deal of time walking an ethical tightrope trying to advise an individual, but they can't give advice, but explaining what the process is, and it's an ethical tightrope for them. It takes a great deal of time. When lawyers are involved on the defense side, the system's far more efficient because the defense lawyer can advise the client about here's what the legal issues are, here's what things matter, here's what things don't, and listen to that individual story, and that person's heard. And the time with the lawyer can be, with the prosecutor, can be a lot more efficient. In addition, for the individual that is in that system, if they're without a lawyer, there's a whole lot of things that they can't understand, and that's where you see this downward spiral. So, for example, someone takes action that, or doesn't take action, gets their driver's license suspended because they don't know what to do or revoked. They start to accumulate misdemeanor criminal offenses because they're driving because they need to get to work to support their family, but they're driving without that license. Then these charges just pile on, where if a lawyer was involved to defend them early on, that lawyer could advise the individual how to get their license back and avoid a whole series of problems that takes up time for police, time for the judges, and time for every other actor in the justice system.
It's a huge issue for Milwaukee County.
No question about it, and that's exactly the
number
point.
of people driving without licenses, suspensions. Excuse me, John.
It's a huge issue, and it's just symptomatic of what was just being described. And the worst case scenario for anyone in the court system is dealing with individuals that are not represented, because it just inevitably results in delay, which costs money. You have officers subpoenaed to court for multiple appearances, and the cases drag on forever because everyone in the end wants to make sure that the right thing is done, that justice is done, and in order to get that accomplished, you need skilled operators in that system that are going to help the people to get the kinds of services that are going to allow us to move that case forward. And again, what we've learned is that the sooner in the process that the engagement begins, the better for everybody across the board. What I can't do as a prosecutor, I can't sit down with somebody and say, do you have a drug addiction? What led you to make the decisions you made here? Tell me all the facts about it. I obviously can't do that. I have to take what I am given by the police. If the person has made statements, I have to evaluate that. But I can't get the full history of that person the way a defense attorney can. And they can then come in, they can advocate saying, I'll connect this person to these raise resources to make sure that they change their behavior. Now, there's certain cases that we're all going to agree upon are not going to be treated that way. Some, if it's a homicide, if it's a shooting, if it's a sexual assault, we all in the system know that that's going to be treated in a traditional, let's assess our evidence and put it into court and put it before the judge or the jury and decide it that way. But that's only a fraction of the cases that we deal with. The vast majority of them have some underlying issues that if there's the right intervention at the right time, that person's going to change their behavior and not keep coming back into the system. That's good for the system, it's good for the community, and from a resource standpoint, it's now vital that we start talking in those terms because we can't afford simply to recycle people again and again. Milwaukee will see over 3,600 individuals returning just in this year alone from the correction system. It's probably going to increase to about 5,000 with early release. That's exactly right. Now, these are individuals that have been already processed through the system, and they are at the greatest risk to be re-entered into the system and continue that process of massive expense unless there's some intelligent, effective interventions. They are also the people most likely to commit new crimes but also be victimized by new crimes. So it's just incumbent on us to think about ways that we can start intelligently changing the system to change behaviors in a productive, positive way. And the most effective systems that we've started to develop in Milwaukee have been spearheaded, led, and strongly supported by the Public Defender's Office.
I'm tempted to say, isn't there some irony in the prosecutor for the state's largest county arguing for better defense counsel?
There is no irony. If those of us in the system know that, in fact, it's the only way we can go right now, is that it's the best thing for the public and for the system and for the integrity of that system. In the end, I look on the prosecutor's fundamental responsibility is really to the integrity of that system. It has to be both substantively fair, but it also has to have the appearance of fairness, and that's what gets challenged when people don't think that they are getting a fair shake because of the dynamics of what occurs inside a courtroom. And so I want a rock solid defense attorney that has a full spectrum of knowledge and experience and can do the right thing for that client on each time. And if in the end the right thing is simply to give them the best defense they can get in front of a jury, that's great. But again, we know that's maybe 5% of what a defense attorney does. The rest of it is trying to get them to change the types of behaviors that get them into the trouble in the first place.
The cases that are now represented by private bar attorneys, is that a flat $40 per hour?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do you take any of those cases, Eric?
I don't.
Why?
One reason, I declined to fund someone else's war on drugs. And the second is that $40 an hour rate has existed for a long time. It's a rate that, for a private bar attorney, we can't afford to take cases if you're not working out of your home. I have staff that I support. I have an office. I have to keep the lights on, parking. I would certainly be at a loss if I took those cases. And that rate will never increase so long as there's a large group of attorneys that are willing to take those cases. So for me, I'm concerned by the fact that rate is so low that individuals that are represented not through public defender staff attorneys, but the public defender's office also appoints some attorneys in the private bar, that the quality of that representation, you get what you pay for, and the public should be paying a market rate for those attorneys that's adequate for the lawyer to support their office. And for me, it's an individual boycott.